I've talked 99.5 as we get cranked up here again today. Still live on the road. I'm still down in Orlando, Florida. AJ, do you like my new display here on the monitor?
Yeah, it looks good.
I was able to get the logo in the shot. It kind of hides some of the cheesy RV artwork. I'm trying to make a studio out of this place for 4 hours a day. Working pretty good today. Weather's really cool down here. How's it back home? Still kind of cool.
It looks deceiving. It's sunny outside, but it's cold.
Yep. That's the way it is. All right, y'all, let's just get cranked up as the absolute biggest story in the country right now. And there's other stuff to talk about for sure. But this Nancy Guthrie story and her disappearance and everything associated with that continues to both, I think we're of two minds as a country right now. We're a little bit voyeuristic. Let's just be honest. People get involved when there's a mystery, but it's also a sort of an emotional connection because you're talking about somebody's mama and what appeared to be a very sweet, innocent, older lady. And so there was a news conference. Maybe by now you've heard a little bit of this earlier on the show where we learned a little bit more, but not a whole lot more. Particularly the authorities established a timeline when she was dropped off and then when things started going squirrely at the house. In other words, a camera. She did have cameras, and there's a lesson in these cameras, and we've mentioned this before since this case got in the news. I'm going to go back over that in a minute, but this particular camera picked up some kind of motion. They're not sure what it was because it wasn't cloud-based. It didn't record it or store the information. It kind of overwrites itself as it sits there and monitors. It could have been something. It could have been a squirrel. Mine will pick up every little thing that moves outside, birds and squirrels and all that. And so then they walk through the other timeline. Her pacemaker disconnected from her cell phone. As many of you know, some of you have these pacemakers that are put in to regulate your heart, and they have technology where you can monitor your pacemaker with your phone app. I think you just got to be within Bluetooth range of the phone app, or the phone has to be close, which would mean I suppose she was separated somehow from her phone is what they're implying there. So that's about the time she probably left the premises. And they don't have much more. They're saying today still that they don't have a suspect and they don't know where she is. As last night, many of you saw this, I still had the news on last evening. Generally, I'll turn it off when the show's over because I've been inundated with news all day, and I just couldn't quit watching the developments. And suddenly you had this post from the Guthrie family, and immediately you wondered what was the strategy in that. At first I thought, well, it's them wanting to express gratitude to the public and just, sort of vent and put a statement out, which is not unusual in a case where there's a lot of national attention. But then it was the language. There was something about the language and the way they were describing their mother. And then Savannah Guthrie sort of led the statement, and she started praying for the hostage takers to return her mother, saying that they're ready to talk. And that's when I was laying down and I kind of sat up and started watching that. And I thought, now if the authorities scripted that statement so that it could communicate back to, remember, they don't have a phone number. If they're trying to get a message to potential hostage takers, then the only thing they can do is really go to the mass media. So I sat there and listened to that, and it seemed to me, and I haven't heard too many people talk about this today, that if it was mostly scripted out and the authorities tightly asked them to make a statement, it was clearly an attempt to humanize her mother, as if most decent people don't already see this sweet 84-year-old as just sort of a typical mom who's in a very vulnerable situation, apparently, if she's still alive. And so it was hard to really know what to make of that. So last night, the narrative changed to, well, somebody has kidnapped her, and they're trying to reach out to them. Then we've got some amount of information that there may be some validity to the TMZ ransom note. And now TMZ wasn't the only outlet that got it. There were some local stations that got it. TMZ says they did do a story on it, but they held back the key details that were in the note. But the authorities are operating on that note. Did have some things in there. In some ways, you call it not really proof of life, but some verification information that's not out in the public that's kind of frightening. But then I heard some investigators today talk about the fact that if that note had some key details, say what was inside the home or what might have been part of the scene, well, then anybody close to her, if it was somebody close to her, would have some similar information. And so, man, it's just, what I do know is I think, just general observations as we get the show started today, I think that sheriff is really earnest. It's a body language thing. He seems to sincerely want to be at the bottom of this. You can tell he's exasperated. It's kind of the same impression I had of him 2 days ago. And you can tell he's a bit exasperated with this overwhelming media demand for answers. He's calling for patience, but he's not doing so arrogantly. I think he's genuinely humbled by this case and wants to get it solved. And you can sense the weight of the world's on him, but he seems like a decent guy. He seems like a competent guy who runs a pretty good department in an area where they don't deal with crime like this a lot. The closest thing they deal with in that part of the country is drug cartel business that comes through from time to time. And of course, there's that speculation today that it's somehow connected to cartels who run ransom schemes all the time down south of the border. You get international people held hostage, and sometimes the Japanese really screwed this up for us. People down in Mexico started kidnapping Japanese executives that were in the country to do business. And the Japanese have a whole different philosophy on how to deal with this stuff. They pay the ransom. They just get their people back. They don't go cowboy on anything. And then once it was lucrative, there were international targets on people that were traveling. In particular, for a while, it was Tijuana. But there's no evidence. While there's wild speculation, there's no evidence other than this community's proximity to the border and that cartel activity that this is directly cartel related. So you got all kind of speculation on that. But at this point, unless the authorities, it's either one of two things. And we've been here many times with investigations. It's either that they know more than they can tell us because they're trying to rescue this woman and it serves no interest to the case to make things public right now, or they really don't know where she is. They really are perplexed and miffed, and that's a frightening scenario all in of itself. So any other developments tonight? And when they come rapidly. Last night, there were several things instantly. The police returned to the scene, put up more tape, started going back over the crime scene again. A lot of people believe that was also the additional FBI resources that were brought in with a much more sophisticated technology that you would find in a local department trying to retrace some things. They've had helicopters in the air looking for them. And then in very compelling fashion, Donald Trump last night called Savannah Guthrie. And a lot of folks want to politicize that or make issue of it because, again, she's got a job to do. And she was pretty adversarial with the president when she interviewed him. It's just liberal journalists. They do what they do. But Trump, to his credit, rose above that, gave it his full attention, called her, was a human being about it. And we've got to remember that. All of these people, even the ones we talk bad about today, we're all humans and we all hurt in the same ways for some of the same things, whether we agree on stuff or not. Trump made that call, committed the resources of the federal government, whatever that might be, including the FBI. I understand Kash Patel maybe heading to the scene or maybe on the scene this afternoon. That's good. There's been a reward posted by the feds. It's not a very big reward. It started at $50,000, but it's something. The ransom note to TMZ, listen to all the stuff I have on this case today. The ransom note to TMZ apparently included a demand that it be paid today by 5 o'clock. I don't know what time that would be, whether it's a local time out there or not. It's just been all over the place today. And I do think that because it involves a media celebrity, the other media networks feel an instant connection to that. And I think that affects their news judgment to do nonstop coverage on this case. However, this is the kind of news story that keeps people glued to the TV screens. I was trying to remember and think, when was the last time we had a real mystery where it was day after day we were just trying to figure it out? I think it was probably, if I had to guess, it was that last university shooting where they were tracking where the young lady from Mountain Brook was killed, and they were tracking the whereabouts of the assailant up into Massachusetts. And there was so much wild speculation on that because remember he went and shot an MIT professor. So that was minute-to-minute coverage just a few weeks ago. But sometimes you'll get these cases. One of the first ones, of course, we all remember the mystery surrounding initially the Nicole Brown Simpson murders and the Ron Goldman murder, where O.J. Simpson killed those people and then got in that infamous chase, and then, of course, infamously was acquitted for it. That kind of criminal case enthralled the country. But my theory has always been that was when the 24-hour news channels started to learn the value of continuous coverage. In other words, not just cover the trial and go on to the other news of the world that day. They would stay with it live, everything that happened in that case. And this country could not quit watching it. So I don't really want to find fault in that because I'm curious about it too. I would love to see this woman be caught alive. I think it'd be a miracle if they were to discover her alive, considering her health condition, with the heart issues that she has, and her mobility issues. The two prevailing theories, again, just to kind of go back through what the experts are saying. I'm not trying to play one of those guys that wants to be an expert on detectives because I'm not. I've been around a lot of crime and investigations, but you never know what they're really dealing with as they're going about these kind of mysterious circumstances. But the prevailing experts that do this for a living are saying over and over, it's either one of two things. It was a home invasion type burglary that went wrong. And I described a situation like that the other day where I was involved in a case. Or it is indeed a ransom situation where this woman was targeted because of her celebrity daughter. There were immediate demands that, at least at this point, it seems people are not dismissing, and that she is somewhere still alive. And to me, sadly, that's the weird part of this whole thing. That's the best case scenario, that she's alive somewhere because somebody had an ridiculous plan and they took her hostage, and she's scared for her life, but she's not dead. They didn't kill her and drag her off and hide her somewhere. It's hard to know. It's hard to know which one they're operating from. Now, I will have this extra little nugget in the story as we get cranked up today, too. Somebody submitted a fake ransom note that apparently it wasn't the same one that went to TMZ. And so the feds have now busted that person and arrested them. What a sick individual in the midst of all of this pain and anguish on the part of that family to try to, it wastes resources. It distracts the police, and they deserve to get every single day they have coming to them. And that is a federal crime. So they'll be facing a federal case as that rolls out. So, look, we still got other things in the news today. That's not the only thing, but it has been so dominant. I mean, it has been nonstop coverage since last night, and you get a sense that there's some momentum. And again, ride with us home this afternoon, and we'll get you updated on any of the developments. I'll take a break. We'll come back and do the other headlines of the day, and get your phone calls in here this afternoon like we do, and stay on top of all the breaking stuff. Lead on Live, Talk 99.5. Y'all stay tuned. All right, here we go. 220 Lead on Live Talk 995 on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Alan and Company bringing you the show tonight. Y'all go see them if you haven't done all your Valentine's gift giving. And they've got, look, I'm telling you, sometimes for Valentine's Day, you're spending a lot of money. Y'all going to have to go on a date. You're going to go to dinner. You got things. But if you want to add something on top of that, they've got things in some really affordable price ranges throughout the store, ready for particularly the holiday season. If it's a bigger ticket item, like, of course, if you're dealing with an engagement setting or upgrading an old wedding set, y'all go see them at Allen & Company and get that work personally done from a wonderful family, the Thompsons and Alan Thompson, who does all the work. He's just such a good guy. He's going to take care of it. And I always like to emphasize, if you take things in for a repair, if you take things in to be cleaned or refitted or resized or broken chains, sometimes it's not even an expensive piece, but it means a lot because of who gave it to you and why they gave it to you, and you don't want to have anything happen to it. Well, at Allen & Company, you're leaving it right there. It stays in their vault. Allen does the work with his hands, and they get it back to you. They hope to get it back to you within a week. I think if you just go in there one day and meet them for their service, you'll get to know everything about the family, and you'll go back time and time again. This is not one of those big, glitzy, high-pressure corporate-type jewelry stores. This is a good generational family business, and they love what they do, and they're ready to help you too and get to know you at Allen & Company. All right, I'm going to bring up some other stuff just to get it in there, and then, of course, we'll hit the phones as soon as you guys are ready. 545-9950 this afternoon. Let's go to Nashville. This story is really getting a lot of attention. The power being off so long, particularly around the Nashville area. And you've got all the politicians. I had this Marsha Blackburn, man, she was fired up talking about it. And you had the mayor, who's, again, responsible for a lot of this stuff. You know, they got a weenie, the sort of woke mayor in that town, and he's out, stomping his foot, pretending like he's going to be a cowboy over the whole situation. Marsha Blackburn actually took to the Senate floor, and the name of the power utility that's up in that area is called NES Power. Now, we don't live there. Some of us have followed the story. You have friends that live there. My understanding of what it is the big issue was that the power company did not keep up with their tree trimming responsibilities before the storm. So the infrastructure, very similar to what happened out in California, where they didn't clear the brush ahead of major fires. They didn't get these dead trees cut back and anything that was hanging over a power line, so it made the damage even worse and took even longer to get people back online. And so there's so many people demanding accountability. The other angle on it is that the power company, like a lot of large corporations in this country, wasted incredible amounts of resources on woke social justice initiatives and training in their workplaces, including these DEI classes that a lot of corporate America started making people do. Did you notice a lot of that stuff starting to fade? Because it was just foolish. It distracts from the core mission. We've been bitching about it since it started. You're in business to do business. You have a mission. If you're in our business, your mission is to try to produce a good product every day, and we sell it out there in the world. If you're in the utility business, your job is to deliver the power and take care of the infrastructure. Yet these people are sitting around making puppet balloons, talking about their feelings in these therapy sessions, and that was just and it still exists in America, but it was just a plague on corporate America. And again, they're wasting both resources, the time of their staff sitting around having to do this stuff, even the online classes. It creates division in the workplace where there was none, where there used to be real relationships. Now everybody's scared to talk to their coworkers, and everybody's guarded with this nonsense. And so it does not surprise me that this utility would have engaged in it as well. Now, the two issues could be separate. It could just be that they're as distracted and dysfunctional as other entities that are out there, and this is not directly related. A lot of people suspect that it at least is part of the problem. Negligence is clearly part of the problem. Let's see if I have this set up right. I'll be able to listen to Marsha Blackburn talk about the situation from the Senate floor.
12,000.
Well,
137. Mr. President, that is the number of homes and businesses in Nashville that are still without power in the wake of Winter Storm Fern. 11 days after the storm hit, still 12,900 37 customers of Nashville Electric Service are still in the dark. At its peak, hundreds of thousands of Tennesseans were without power. The consequences have been unimaginable. Many residents have had to leave their homes. Others have struggled to power their life-sustaining medical equipment. Across Nashville, there have tragically been 5 fatalities linked to the storm, including some that occurred days after the storm hit the state. One 92-year-old man, James Mitchell, passed away in his home after the generator powering his space heater stopped running. When a family member found him, it was 47 degrees in the house. 2 days later, 79-year-old Betty Doss, she passed away in her home after losing power for her HVAC system. Her thermostat, 44 degrees. Home. I join all Tennesseans in mourning the tragic loss of every person across our state. By failing to properly prepare for Winter Storm Fern, the Nashville Electric Service, the 11th largest electric utility in the nation, put Tennesseans in harm's way. In fact, in recent years, the company slashed funding for one of the most important ways to prevent power loss. Across Nashville, hundreds of tree branches have broken off into power lines due to ice buildup. It's the main reason for power loss, and it's the responsibility of NES to trim trees around power lines to ensure this does not happen. But between 2023 and 25, the utility's leadership cut funding for tree trimming services by $7 million. The reason, as the NES CEO told local media in August, and I'm quoting, "We care about the tree canopy. We have to live here too," end quote. Instead of funding tree trimming, the utility is focused on DEI. Between 2023 and early 24, NES held 102 DEI training sessions for employees. It should be no surprise that when disaster struck, the utility was unprepared. In many cases, it offered completely contradictory information to customers. People would get notices that their power was back on, but electricity was not restored. People would try to call NES and report an outage, but the phone system, it was not working.
So the big problem NES has, and we'll move on to some other stuff because, again, but for the grace of God, this same system could have dipped into Birmingham and we dodged the bullet with this thing. And they're still dealing with the aftermath. But the problem for them is all these energy utilities are generally regulated federally in a number of ways. FERC being one of the commissions that oversees regulations. So it's one thing to have your governor involved. It's one thing it's not just a state issue. This becomes a federal issue. Now they've pissed off at least one of their United States senators for just failing to respond to people. If there are any more dramatic developments on that, of course, we'll have that too. Leading live from the road down here in sunny Orlando, Florida, but still kind of chilly, as evidenced by this jacket vest thing I've got on. Your calls, too, when we get on down the road tonight, 545-9950. Leland Live back here in just a minute. 3:35. We're getting 2:35. I keep looking at the wrong clock, AJ. Time zones. What are you going to do? EcoView Windows and Doors bringing you the show tonight. Becky Jackson and her husband, those guys, boy, they do such a good business for people. We've had a lot of our audience give me feedback. I love the feedback on any of our sponsors, positive or negative. We don't get much negative at all. I don't know if I've ever gotten anything negative about EcoView. People are just bragging. They'll call up here and call the show and just brag on the work that they do and how they did it. So, listen, if you have single pane windows, even on homes that are relatively new, if they're just built with single pane windows, it's something that you should probably consider getting replaced, especially when you see the shock of your power bill this time. Man, they've gone way up. It's really smart to do this kind of efficiency thing. Becky and her team said they can save you 35% on your heating and cooling. And then, of course, you've got the possibility of getting even some tax incentives by doing this kind of work. You know, the thing is, here's the dirty secret. In some home communities, when they were built, especially in these sort of communities where you had 2 or 3 contractors building everything really quickly back in the day during the housing boom, they would put in impressive kitchens. They'd put in super high-end granite countertops because nobody looks at who looks at the windows. You look at the windows and go, oh, those are nice. But you're looking at the details of other stuff that really draws your eye. So they'd shift the resources to that and then put sort of cheap contractor grade windows on some of these homes. And eventually they're going to fail. So reach out to EcoView and get the real deal put in and let them back it with warranties and guarantees on everything they do. It's ecoviewwindows.com, ecoviewwindows.com. All right, it's not too early in the show to do a couple of phone calls. We'll get some calls in here and kick it around for a little while. I'm telling you, the Nancy Guthrie story has so dominated the news cycle today that it's almost sucked up all the oxygen. There's so much attention on it. And it's one of those things where there's not enough new right now to just talk about it for 4 hours. We'd be speculating. So we'll give it some treatment at the top of each hour and then give you updates when we have something. But it sort of bumped everything else completely out of the news cycle today. All right, let's go to JR on a cell phone. We'll start there. Line 2. What's up, JR?
What's happening, my man? You doing all right today?
Yeah, bro. Doing well.
Yeah, I'm gonna back up for just a second where you're on your window people, and you're right about that. And I'm a builder, but what they do when they pull them windows out, they also gonna tape that interface where them things come around. So it's not just your window that's gonna help all around it where it's leaking. It's going to as well.
That's where the leaking is. You're exactly right.
It helps just as much in the summertime as it will the winter.
Sure does.
So I'm hearing you're a cheerleading dad or a granddad now.
I'm a cheerleader, sort of bonus dad, stepdad now in this stage of life. I'm also a granddad, so I'm in between. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure my granddaughters may get into it too. So I'm getting my first. I raised all boys, and so I knew nothing about it. So I'm getting introduced to this at this age.
Well, it's an experience. I have 3 girls.
Oh my Lord!
I grew up an only child myself.
Did they all do it?
I got a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 3-year-old. That's a different story. But my 19-year-old did, and my 16-year-old is now. And I was an only child, and I roller skated in the Junior Olympics. I held the Alabama state number 1 plate in BMX for years, and then I drove race cars. I did short track, dirt track racing for years, and I played football, and I helped starting kids. And it's a transition to be a cheerleading dad, but I'm all in with it, and I'm heading to Orlando here in a little while.
So you're going to be down here?
Nationals down there. Yeah, I'm coming. All
right. So apparently I'll be over there. I'll be over there at some point Saturday. I'm not doing anything the next 2 days. I'm just working, but they got me tickets, so I got to go. I got to go and represent. You know what I'm saying? So maybe if you find me, if you see me, let me know.
Oh, it's not just the squad competing. They score your families and the people cheering too. So
that's what
they do. I'm not kidding, man. And
I was getting dirty looks. I went to one of these. I went to one of these things. I guess it was the tournament that got her team into this, right? And I never in my life seen this before. And I'm seeing grown ass men stand up and scream like they're at an Iron Bowl. And I'm like, what is? I wasn't doing anything. I was just watching. They were giving me looks. They were like, they get points on fan participation. I was like, are you serious? So we have to apparently get into it. So I hope there's no video.
And they watch. And I screamed when they threw my daughter about 25 foot up in the air.
Yep.
Is when
I
I
bet.
did. But man, it's a blast, man. Get into it, dude.
How did you
it's nothing
survive
like
it?
when you stand, man? You know what? You just you be a part of it. That's how you survive it. You know. But they'll when they get done, they go in the back and they come out and everybody's lined up with them exiting the thing. And to see the looks on them girls' faces and the accomplishment, man. You know, it's worth everything you put into it, man. So glad to hear you there, man. Good luck to y'all. Hope everybody stays safe, and I hope we'll bump into each other, Leland.
All right.
Have a good one.
Well, look for me. I'll see you around. I'm sure I'll have some theme appropriate T-shirt. I've been informed I'm wearing the shirt. I'm like, I'm not wearing the shirt. She goes, oh, you wearing the shirt?
You got to wear the shirt, man.
I
Come
wear
on.
a matching shirt.
You got to do it, man. For at least
But
look,
also,
look. It's for your first one. It's for your first one. You got to wear the shirt for the first one.
How about that? I'll do the cheerleading shirt, but I ain't putting on any mouse ears. I'm not.
Well, you ain't got to do the mouse here, so
I don't even do that.
Compromise.
I've been to Disney 100 times. I've never done the mouse. I'm just not.
I've never been to Disney.
Oh, dude, you should come on down. Between the two of these things,
it looks like everybody's headed down that way anyway.
Do you want the money sucked completely out of your life? Disney and those two in the sport of cheerleading, apparently. I mean, the football was not that expensive. I don't know how they keep coming up with stuff for these girls to spend money on. I mean, I'm just watching it, and by the time you get it all, the tournaments and the travel, and some of y'all have done Little League Dad stuff, and that gets involved, and then it's like all these moms are texting each other in the middle of the night because they need the right shade of lipstick. I'm like, really? It's something all the time, dude. And then Jessica sends me a text the other day, and she says, I've got to go buy another outfit. I went, hadn't she got enough outfits? She goes, no, for me. I was like, what do you mean? She goes, all the moms are wearing matching outfits. What? It's a cult, dude. It's totally a cult.
Now,
but I'm
the
afraid
question
I'll
is,
know
do dads do the same thing?
I'm going to know the secret handshake by the time it's over. I already told you I'm going to go from being I'm not getting involved to I'll be up there screaming at the judges. I mean, I'll be like, that girl did not stick that landing. You know what I'm saying? I'll be understanding what the rules are. I don't even know what they're looking for. It's a lot of screaming. That's all I've only seen 2 of these things, but I'm about to see it all on Saturday.
Now, look. You used to talk bad about, cats and people that had cats, and now you got 2 of them. Now, if you start coming out here talking about talking on the lingo,
you shouldn't say you're not going to do. Yeah,
right? Because look, I'm taking notes. This what's the day? It is February 5th, 2026. If you start talking about lingo that's going on in cheerleading, I'm like,
you know what? Come Monday, I'm gonna hit you with some fresh cheerleading lingo that I'll pick up on. I'm taking notes this weekend. I told her I was gonna do a behind the scenes dark documentary. I'm gonna call it "We Got Spirit," and it's gonna be about the ugly, nasty stuff that happens before they go out there.
It happened in Orlando in 2026.
What was it? VH1 behind the music.
Mm-hmm. It started with one cheer until
Heather
tragedy hits.
Heather Ann forgot her matching hair bow, and it was on.
Like, oh my God.
Jay's in T-Town. Let's go. Line 4. We'll do some more calls. This is more fun than half the stuff in the news anyway. What's up, Jay?
Hi, it's Jan.
Oh, hey, Jan. I know you, Jan. What's up, Jan?
Oh, my God. I'm listening to you. I have 10 years of cheerleading mom experience, going to nationals and everything else. And
did you really?
Talking about matching bows. My daughters were on the same squad. And I remember the youngest one was always in trouble because she didn't have the right bloomers or the right socks or the right bow.
Hold on, wait a minute.
One night I heard her.
Is this the one that's my friend?
No,
your daughter?
The guilty culprit is the one that's your friend. And I woke
that's
up
what I
one
thought.
night
Yeah.
to hear my youngest daughter going, I got you, I got you, I got you. And she's sitting on top of her sister, who's laughing hysterically because she's got her sister's bow in her hand because she couldn't find hers. You know? But,
Yep.
yeah, and now I have a granddaughter who cheered in junior high and then cheered competition, and that's vicious. But you're going to have the ride of your life, and the cheer is, we got spirit. Yes, we do. We got spirit. How about you?
Right.
So learn that, Leland. It's a popular one.
I've known that one since we've done that. I did that at a political event one time with some protesters. That's a long story.
Yeah, we did that at a Luther event, too.
we were being heckled. And thanks, Jan, good story. Now I'm going to give your daughter a hard time when we next time we all have dinner. So there's that. Jan's feels like a buddy of the show. Yeah, I had no idea that she was also in cheerleading. AJ, I think I just changed the name of my documentary. You ready?
I'm ready.
I got new names. I'm gonna call it Bowed Up.
Bowed Up. Okay. Is that like a stance or is that?
Well, they wear.
Oh,
they all got the bow. Bows are
bow.
huge, dude. You have no idea how serious, how dramatic crap gets when the bow ain't right. Like it doesn't have to be the same, but it's got to be the bow, and it's got to be where the bow needs to be. And all hell breaks loose if the bow ain't there.
Well, you gotta go. You gotta be like bow and glitter. Like bow and glitter. Yeah.
It's new. It's all new.
I'm telling you. Look. I'm telling you. Okay, it's gonna start with the shirt. Okay, and then next you know it, you're gonna have the shirt with the name on it, and then you're gonna have the little like what football players have the John 3:16 under the eye. Then you're gonna have
like the eye black with the Bible verses and stuff like.
But then you're gonna have like the cheer squad. Look, I'm telling you, man. Okay, I'm just saying it's February 5th. If you come back and then you're like, oh my God, I went to my first cheer meet and UGLY, they ain't got no alibi.
You ugly. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I see that in your future.
I don't look. We had kind of our school was kind of edgy. You know what I'm saying? It was like we were just a little ghetto and redneck kids, and so the cheers were like, "Think you bad, think you hot, whoop your ass in the parking lot," stuff like that. There wasn't any of these modern cheers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you gotta teach them some like you gotta throw in little cuss words, your mama joke
they
in
won't.
there.
Yeah, they won't go for that. But I will say this: every now and then they'll want to do their little dance routine to some skanky song, and I've seen moms get bowed up over that. Where it's the popular song, but if you heard the lyrics to the song, suddenly you're like, "Oh, that's inappropriate," and the girls have no idea. They're like us in the 80s. We were listening to Prince, had no idea what he was singing about. Like, what? That song's about what?
Yeah. Like I grew up in the era when there was like my back, my neck. And then I can't say the rest of the words. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. What type of cheer you doing with this?
Yikes. Here we go, man. I'm in the middle of it now. Hell on earth.
You know you enjoying this. Come on now.
I actually saw some other families here in the park. I was out walking the dogs. Yeah, go ahead and give me grief about that. I was walking. Everybody's gone. They all leave and go do their activities, and I'm just here show prepping and setting up and getting ready with the news. And the dogs got to be taken. So I'm out walking the dogs, and just came across the dude, started talking to him. Sure enough, he was down here for the same thing. I said, "Well, why aren't you over at the parks?" He goes, "Same reason you're not over at the parks." I said, "Exactly." He said, we got the better job walking these dogs." I was like, "Yes, we did." So Saturday's my only commitment day. It's the only day I have to be exposed to it.
Yeah.
May start back drinking after that. Susan's on line 3. What's up, Susan?
Leland.
Hey.
I'm on my way back from Orlando. I went down there to buy my used Class B camper van. And anyway, lots of craziness on the plane, cheerleaders out the yin-yang all the way down this morning early, cheerleaders everywhere. So they're keeping on coming. And I have 14 grandchildren, only 2 girls. Yay, not unhappy about that. Okay, I'm going to be a little Debbie Downer just for a second. I had a speculation on Nancy Guthrie. They have said that the garage door closed at 9:50.
Yeah.
They never said when it opened. I'm assuming she went in through the garage door, like a lot of people do. That's how they enter their house. So what if somebody was hanging out in the bushes and just dove into the garage? The garage door goes down. The family member, whoever that is, left saying, "Oh, okay, she's in the house." Then that person hangs out till 2 a.m., lets his buddies in through the front door because, he don't want to be seen. Or they somehow come in through the bottom of the garage, whatever. The camera's gone from the front door. Now they're in there. She may be asleep. I think it's a burglary gone wrong, and I think they just realized, oh, now she's woken up and she's seen us. We got to do something different. So they go out the front door.
That's completely plausible. I think everything about that's plausible. That they overreacted, something happened, and they had to take her.
She got scratched. She's gone a blood thinner, more than likely. She got scratched. She's lost some blood. No big deal, but they do bleed a good bit when you're on a blood thinner. So now she's gone, and I do think this ransom thing is the Nigerian prince guy who's actually smart, or the Russian hacker.
Man, this is such a crazy world. I don't think any of that's, well, let me rephrase. I think all of that's plausible right now, and some of that's been speculated. I heard a detective yesterday saying an elderly person on blood thinners, if they get struck in the face, nosebleed, lip bleed, you're going to bleed like crazy all the way out the door. That could be, she could have been carried or she could have been walking out that door. We don't know.
Well, and I've worked in the medical field, and quite honestly, a simple scratch, you can bleed like a stuck pig. So it didn't bleed a lot because it ended pretty close to where those pavers were. Otherwise, it would have continued on into the gravel. So, how the people got in, I just think they either dove under the garage and lay in wait until she was asleep, and that way there wasn't any disturbance because there's no more activity on the garage door. So either two of them jumped in under the garage and just lay in wait until she was asleep, thinking, hey, we're just going to go in here and rob the place. Probably didn't have a mask on because they're thinking, well, she's not going to wake up. She's dead to the world. She's ancient. What is she going to do? And then
based on your theory, not to jump all over you, but based on your theory, we talk about her being a target of opportunity. If she wasn't targeted for her daughter's celebrity status, the simple act of the open garage door is an opportunity to somebody that's trolling a neighborhood, wanting to break in a house. The door comes open, and your theory could be correct. It was completely random. She gets injured or sees them, identifies them, or they strike her somehow and injure her. They don't want to leave a body behind, and that's as plausible as anything I've heard all day.
And the only thing I can think of is when they got in the house, and maybe she was still asleep, or maybe afterwards, they realized, okay, how are we going to get out of here? We're not going out through the garage again. That means that's going to trigger something. Some neighbor will hear it. So they had to reach somehow out that front door to that Nest camera and get that thing off the wall. And, there's no...
Well, and there had to be a vehicle. So I think they had to have a way to get out of there by car.
Exactly. So that's where they've got to, in my opinion, focus their energies. And maybe, if the son-in-law, I hate to bring him into it, but, maybe he, and here's the thing I'd be checking. See if he's got Nancy's garage door opener in his car. Maybe he let them in the garage or closed it after. Maybe that's the routine. He carries the garage door opener so he can close it once she gets in. And then maybe he has something to do. I don't know. Just a thought. I think what your thoughts were.
Good stuff. I agree with that. Susan, thanks for your theories. I mean, at this stage, sometimes I feel a little irresponsible with so much speculation, but the whole country's doing it. We're all doing it. And I don't even think it's one of those things where we just want to be right and guess at it, which is what most of these theories wind up being. But you get invested emotionally and even intellectually in a case like this. And we all want to come up with because I think you're wrestling. Some of the speculations, I believe, is people sort of wrestling with their own conscience over the depravity of it. Does that make sense? It's a human instinct for us to want to rationalize why somebody would do something. Even if it's evil or wrong, you got to go, what happened? Why would that even happen? And your mind wants to know, and we get invested. And I'm watching I'm looking at my television monitors right now with the networks on over here off to the side, and every single one of these networks are covering the story wall to wall today. And we'll let you know if anything else develops on it.
Well, just real quick, and I saw this in the midst of you guys were talking, but they did say they have a person of interest identified, but not an actual suspect just yet.
Interesting. Who's reporting that? I'm trying to get
Fox News.
Okay, all right. So that may be a development this afternoon because as of the news conference, there was no person of interest. The thing about the way to answer that question is they can't slam the door on anything because then if it turns out to be somebody that they suspect, so just like a good detective movie, everybody's a suspect until everybody's cleared one by one, and that's kind of the case, especially people close to a victim. All right, we'll cover that more. More of your phone calls. I see Dave and Crystal over there. We'll get to you next. Real quick break. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Y'all stay tuned. Hey, Jay, is that you're playing cheerleader music, right? Is that what
right,
you're doing to me?
Prepared for,
Why are you doing extra cheerleader? I'm going to get enough of that Saturday. You know how loud that my niece, I went down to BJCC years ago when my brother's daughter was in one of these things, and that's the loudest place I've ever been. Mm-hmm. And I saw Metallica in there. The cheerleading thing was louder because it was this music and a lot of screaming.
Right. A lot of lasers and
yeah, give me some more of that. They got a lot of special effects, like it's like Star Wars in the ghetto or something. Yeah. And then they stick it, and they stick the landing, whatever. Yeah, I got a whole day of that. My Lord. Y'all pray for me.
Just getting you mentally prepared, man. This is just the warm up.
I need the prayers. Y'all need the practice. Y'all pray for me. Dave's in Woodstock. Let's go to Dave. What's up, Dave? How you doing, man?
Doing all right. I got a granddaughter that's into this competitive cheerleading. I think they're going down to Orlando in March.
Right.
But when they had a meet over at the Finley Center, I went to one of them, and the music was so loud. The second time I know it. Second time I was a little smarter. I wore my hearing aids because not only can I bump it up, I can turn it down.
Oh, that's pretty smart. Maybe I should put some. I've got earplugs in here somewhere in the motorhome. Maybe I should just plug it and just. I may do that. I may run by a hunting store and get some just some gun plugs. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get them little foam earplugs. You just kind of squeeze them and stick them in your ear, and they expand out. So
I could also use those at church on Sunday because our praise band is almost as loud as this nowadays too. I'm just getting old, AJ. Thank you, Dave. What's the old story they say? If it's too loud, you're too old. I'm there. I am on it. I'm on it. Crystal in Springville. What's up, Crystal?
Oh, I feel bad saying it's here after talking about Nancy, but you know.
Well, it's kind of both today.
A little old school, yeah. I'm from Tennessee. We played basketball a long time ago there, and the girls did. We would get on the bus with the cheerleaders, and they would just make up cheers, and they were clean though. But the cutest one they made up was, "Don't give me no bread, no bread. Don't give me no meat, no meat. Just give me that beef, that tiger beef. Oh yeah, don't give me." So it went on and on. But yeah, those were the days. They don't have cheers like that anymore.
Bread, meat. Yep, that's basic stuff right there. I like it. That's organic. Good call, Crystal.
Sorry for you going. I had to have cheerleaders for 2 years, and that was all I could do.
Thank you, Crystal. Some of y'all are sympathetic. Some of y'all are telling me to get into it. She just made me remember something, AJ. Do you want another old man story? This is a true story. I actually, when I was in Boy Scouts, this is so humiliating. When I was in Boy Scouts, I guess I was about 13, maybe 14. I discovered boobs in cars and got out of the Boy Scouts immediately. But I was kind of an older scout for my rank. So I went with my buddy. We started going to the Thursday nights or whatever it was. So we go on this camp it was at a utility plant over in Georgia to understand electricity. It was all about energy. I'm not making this up. And that night we had this big gathering. We all had these skits we had to do. They made our cabin do a cheer about nuclear fusion. I had to write a cheer, AJ, I wrote a cheer about nuclear fusion.
Oh, gosh.
And I remember it like I wrote a song. Fusion, fusion, that's what atoms do when they come together to make one instead of two. Wow. Shoot me now.